The mail-order bride brought 2 sisters. The cowboy chose all 3. The twin suns dipped low behind the jagged hills of the frontier planet, painting the sky with streaks of orange and purple. Cole Trask sat on the wooden porch of his small ranch house, brushing dust off his worn leather boots. The air smelled of dry grass, heated metal, and the faint tang of the genetically enhanced cattle grazing nearby. Life on this planet had been quiet, too quiet, for a man like him. Days blurred together, each filled with chores, repairs, and the occasional scout of distant terrain. Cole had grown used to being alone. He liked it that way. The solitude allowed him to think, to work without distractions, and to live by his own rules. He was a man who valued honesty, hard work, and the quiet strength of the land. He had never married. He had never thought he would. But that evening, as he watched the last of the suns sink behind the hills, a faint hum reached his ears, a sound unlike any he had heard before. It started softly, almost like a whisper carried by the wind, then grew louder. A shuttle was approaching, its hull gleaming with polished metal and thrusters glowing softly in shades of blue. Cole squinted against the setting suns. Visitors were rare on this part of the frontier, and he didn't expect anyone, least of all a shuttle with people seeking him out. The shuttle landed with a gentle thrum, kicking up a swirl of dust and dry grass. Cole grabbed his wide-brimmed hat and walked down the porch steps, keeping a cautious distance. The ramp lowered and a young woman stepped onto the alien soil. Her hair was dark, her eyes wide with apprehension, and she wore the simple dress of someone unaccustomed to frontier life. She carried a small bag with all her belongings. "Are you Cole Trask?" she asked, her voice steady but carrying a trace of nervousness. "I am," he replied, his tone wary. "And you are?" "Lila," she said, bowing slightly. I am here as your mail-order bride." Cole raised an eyebrow. He had heard of mail-order brides, but it had always seemed a distant, strange custom. Something from old Earth history he had read about. Yet here she was, stepping onto his land, trusting him with her life. He started to say something when a sound behind her caught his attention. 2 more figures appeared on the shuttle ramp, hidden partially by the shadows of the craft. Mara and Tess, Lila's sisters, stepped into the light, their expressions guarded. Cole's brow furrowed. "Why are there 3 of you?" he asked, his voice a mixture of surprise and caution. Leela bit her lip. I did not want to come alone. My sisters are part of my life. They are running from danger back home. They had no place else to go. Please, Cole, we only ask for safety." Cole felt a strange mixture of shock and curiosity. His life had been simple, predictable, and lonely. Now 3 women were standing on his land, each with eyes filled with hope and fear. His instincts told him to be cautious, yet he sensed honesty in Lila's words. "Follow me," he said finally, gesturing toward the ranch house. The sisters moved carefully, their steps uncertain on the rough ground. Cole noticed how Mara scanned the horizon, alert while Tess clutched Lila's arm, seeking reassurance. The dynamic was clear. Each sister had her role, and they relied on one another for strength. Inside, the house was modest but sturdy, built from reinforced metal and timber. Cole offered the sisters chairs and a simple meal of roasted protein and baked tubers. The small kitchen smelled faintly of herbs he had grown himself, and the sisters' eyes widened at the simplicity yet functionality of the home. As they ate, Lila explained the journey. Their homeworld had been overrun by a syndicate controlling trade across the stars. They had no family left, no allies. Lila had arranged for her marriage to a frontier rancher, hoping for safety and a chance to start anew. The sisters had stowed themselves on the shuttle in secret, fearing they would be separated. Cole listened quietly. He had faced dangers on this planet, raiders, wild beasts, and harsh weather, but the thought of organized syndicates from other worlds was something new. He realized protecting them would be more than managing a ranch. It would mean defending them in ways he had never imagined. Night fell quickly under the alien sky. Twin moons rose, casting pale silver light across the rugged landscape. Cole and the sisters sat outside, watching the stars appear one by one. The silence was comfortable, broken only by the distant calls of nocturnal creatures and the soft lowing of the cattle. "I know this is unusual," Cole said, finally breaking the silence. "I've lived alone for a long time. I'm not used to having people around, let alone 3 at once." Lila smiled faintly, her eyes catching the moonlight. "We are not here to trouble you. We only ask for a chance."
"A chance to be safe, to work."
"To live. Mara stepped forward, her expression serious.
We will help.
We know how to survive. Tess, the youngest, nodded shyly. And we will not be a burden. Please, her voice trailed, full of hope and fear at once. Cole studied them for a long moment. He saw determination, loyalty, and courage in each of them. And perhaps he realized the possibility of connection, the warmth of companionship he had not known he was missing. The days that followed were filled with adjustment. Lila learned quickly how to handle the cattle. Mara explored the machinery and began repairing the rovers, and Tess helped tend the small hydroponic garden that supplied fresh food for the ranch. Cole taught them the ways of the frontier, how to ride, how to manage the land, and how to protect themselves against the dangers lurking in the surrounding wilderness. Though the work was hard, there was laughter, and for the first time in many years, Cole felt his heart lighten. Each sister had her own strengths, and together they transformed the ranch into something more than just a home. It became a family. Yet, as the nights stretched on, Cole found himself pondering questions he had never asked before. Could a man really care for more than one woman? Could he protect them all equally, and would they accept the unusual life this frontier demanded? He did not have answers, only the quiet certainty that life, from this moment, would never be the same. The first part of their story ended with a calm night on the porch, the sisters leaning on each other, and Cole watching the stars above. The frontier was wild, unpredictable, and sometimes cruel. But now it held the promise of new beginnings, hope, and perhaps love in forms he had never imagined. The journey ahead would be challenging, but for the first time Cole felt ready to face it, with all three sisters by his side. The morning sun rose over the frontier planet, spilling golden light across the rolling plains and jagged hills. Cole Trask stepped outside the ranch house, stretching his arms as the crisp air filled his lungs. The previous night had been quiet, but he knew that peace on this planet rarely lasted. The three sisters, Lila, Mara, and Tess, were already awake, tending to the animals in the small garden. Cole watched them for a moment, marveling at how quickly they had adapted. Lila was leading a small herd of genetically enhanced cattle toward the feeding pens. Her movements were careful but confident, showing that she had learned the rhythm of ranch life faster than he expected. Mara was under the shade of a metal structure, tinkering with one of Cole's rovers. Sparks flew as she adjusted wiring and tested circuits, her brow furrowed in concentration. Tess moved between them, watering the hydroponic plants, her soft hum blending with the quiet sounds of the morning. Cole approached Lila first, tipping his hat. "Looks like you're getting the hang of it," he said. She smiled, brushing a stray strand of hair from her face. "It's different from home, but I think I can manage. These animals, they respond to kindness, don't they?" Cole nodded. "They do. Treat them well, and they'll follow you anywhere. Hurt them, and they'll test you. Out here, respect is earned, not given." The sisters were learning more than just survival skills. They were learning to live in harmony with the land. The frontier planet was beautiful but unforgiving. Heat waves in the day, freezing nights, sudden dust storms. Life demanded alertness, patience, and courage. Cole found himself appreciating their determination. Each sister had her own talents, and together they began to form a rhythm that made the ranch function like a well-oiled machine. As the day wore on, Cole decided it was time to teach them about the dangers of the frontier. "Out here, it isn't just the storms you have to watch for," he said. "There are predators, wild creatures adapted to this planet, and people who aren't always friendly." He glanced at the horizon, where distant ridges hid shadows and unknown threats. "You'll need to be ready for anything. We've survived worse, but we will learn, if you teach us." "I'm not afraid of anything mechanical or alive. I can handle most problems with my hands." Tess, quieter than the others, simply nodded. "I'll follow instructions. I'll do whatever I can to help." Cole couldn't help but smile. Their loyalty and willingness to adapt impressed him. Yet, he felt the weight of responsibility pressing down. Protecting them was no longer optional. It was his duty. And he knew the frontier could be cruel, testing every skill, every instinct. Later that afternoon, Cole led the sisters to a small outcropping of hills near the ranch. From there, they could see the sweeping plains stretching to the horizon, dotted with grazing herds and the occasional distant settlement. "See that ridge over there?" Cole pointed. "That's where the sandstorms often start. You can spot them from a distance, but they move fast. If you're out there when one hits, you need shelter immediately." Lila nodded, taking mental notes. "And the predators?" Cole's eyes darkened slightly. "There are packs of Tyler beasts. They hunt in groups and are smart enough to follow tracks. They don't attack humans often, but if they sense weakness, you won't get a second chance." Mara frowned. "Sounds like we'll need to be quick on our feet." "Exactly," Cole said. "But that's not all. There are other humans on this planet, and some aren't friendly. Raiders, scavengers, anyone who thinks they can take what's yours. You'll need to defend yourselves, and I'll teach you how." The sisters exchanged glances, a mix of excitement and apprehension. They had faced danger before, but the idea of defending themselves alongside a rugged cowboy on a distant world was something new. As they trained over the following days, Cole discovered more about each sister. Lila had a natural talent for strategy. She could anticipate the movement of animals and equipment with ease. Mara was a mechanical genius, capable of repairing rovers, drones, and even parts of the ranch infrastructure. Tess, though quieter, had a keen eye for detail and an intuition for plants and terrain that often saved them time and effort. One evening, as the twin moons rose over the horizon, Cole and the sisters sat around a small fire. The stars glittered above, alien constellations forming patterns none of them recognized. Lila poked at the fire, watching the sparks dance. "It's peaceful here," she said softly, "but I can feel that this planet tests people." "It's alive in its own way." Cole nodded. "It does. That's why you have to be strong, not just with your body, but with your mind. The land rewards those who respect it and punishes those who don't." Mara tilted her head. "I've never seen a place like this. Back home, we ran from danger constantly. Here, danger feels different, sharper. It's closer to you. You can't hide from it forever. You face it, or it takes everything." The sisters listened, absorbing every word. Cole's stories of frontier life, the raids, the storms, the wild beasts, were more than warnings. They were lessons, showing them how to survive, how to work together, and how to trust the man who had offered them a home. Days turned into weeks. Life on the ranch became routine, but a routine filled with learning, laughter, and unexpected moments of joy. Lila tended to the cattle with care. Mara improved the ranch equipment and even created small gadgets to make chores easier, and Tess cultivated a thriving garden, bringing fresh produce to the table every day. Cole watched them work, his respect growing alongside his admiration. One day, while checking the boundary fences, Cole spotted movement in the distance. A small group of rogue raiders approached, their hovercraft kicking up dust as they moved. Cole's hand instinctively went to his laser pistol, but he signaled the sisters to stay calm. "Stay behind me," he said quietly. The raiders stopped at the edge of the property, shouting demands and threats. Cole stepped forward, his stance firm. "You are not taking anything from this ranch," he said, his voice low but steady. The sisters moved closer, standing behind him, their presence unspoken but powerful. The standoff lasted only a few tense moments. Cole's confidence, combined with the sisters' readiness, unnerved the raiders. They backed down, leaving the ranch in peace, at least for now. Cole knew this was only the beginning. Life on the frontier would always have challenges, but with the sisters at his side, he felt stronger, ready to face whatever came next. That night, as they repaired the fences and shared a simple meal, Cole allowed himself a rare moment of reflection. The sisters were no longer strangers or guests. They were part of his life, part of his home. Their laughter filled the ranch, their skills improved every day, and their bond with him grew stronger. He felt a connection that went beyond simple friendship or duty. For the first time in years, Cole felt hope, not just for survival, but for something more. The frontier was wild, unpredictable, and sometimes cruel, but it had given him a chance to find family, trust, and perhaps even love in forms he had never imagined. And so as the twin moons shone over the plains and the fire crackled low, Cole, Lila, Mara, and Tess settled into the rhythm of their new life. Together they faced the challenges of the frontier, learning from each other, laughing at small victories, and preparing for the threats that lurked beyond the horizon. The journey was just beginning, and the ranch had become more than a home. It had become a place of unity, resilience, and the promise of shared adventure. The days on the frontier ranch had grown busier, yet Cole Trask felt a quiet tension under the surface. Life with Lila, Mara, and Tess was filled with laughter, work, and growing closeness, but the planet was never truly safe. Cole had faced wild beasts, sandstorms, and even the occasional raider, yet a lingering sense of danger followed them like a shadow. It started on a routine morning. Cole was checking the water pumps near the eastern boundary when he noticed unusual tracks in the soft soil. They were not from animals. The shapes were too precise, the marks deliberate. He followed them cautiously, pistol at his side. The tracks led toward the ranch house, but they vanished near the ridge, as if whoever had been there had taken care to avoid detection. Inside, the sisters were preparing breakfast. Lila hummed softly as she arranged food on the table. Mara was cleaning tools from yesterday's rover repairs, and Tess moved quietly among the hydroponic plants. Cole entered without a word, scanning each of them carefully. "They were here," he said finally, pointing to the ridge. "Humans. Raiders, maybe scouts. They're testing us." Lila's eyes widened, but she nodded. "We need to be ready. Tell us what to do." Cole appreciated her resolve. He knew that the sisters had survived dangers in their past, but now the threats were closer to home. He instructed them on security measures. Watch the boundaries, set simple alarms, and always stay aware of the sky and terrain. The sisters followed his guidance without question. But the threat became clearer that night. A faint hum echoed from the ridge, growing louder until drones appeared, hovering with cold, calculating precision. Their lights cut through the darkness, scanning the ranch. Cole grabbed his laser pistol, signaling the sisters to retreat to safe spots. Lila and Tess moved quickly behind the house, while Mara activated a small shielding device she had built with Cole's instructions. The drone circled, scanning for movement, but Cole was ready. He fired a single shot, hitting the drone's sensor and causing it to spiral away. The others scattered in response, as if startled by the unexpected resistance. Cole knew this was no ordinary raiding party. Someone with technology far beyond typical frontier gear was involved. After the drones retreated, the sisters gathered around Cole. Their expressions were tense but determined. Lila spoke first. "This was no accident. Someone wants us, or something we have." "You're right. I've faced raiders before, but this is organized. You're not just mail-order brides here. You're part of something bigger. I can feel it." Mara's fingers fidgeted with a tool in her hand.
"What could they want? The ranch?"
"The cattle? Us?" Cole looked at each sister. "All of it is possible. But whoever it is, they have a reason beyond simple greed." That's the part we need to understand. It was then that Lila decided to reveal the truth. "Cole, there's something we haven't told you. Back home, our family was hunted by a syndicate. They control trade across multiple planets. They're powerful, and we escaped them. That's why we left. That's why I arranged this marriage. We needed safety, and we thought this frontier would be far enough from them." Tess gasped softly. "We didn't mean to put you in danger, Cole. We just wanted a chance to live." Cole felt the weight of their words. He had assumed that the sisters were simply looking for a new life, but now he understood the gravity of their situation. Protecting them was no longer just about frontier skills. It was about surviving against a powerful, unseen enemy. The next days were filled with preparation. Cole taught the sisters more advanced survival techniques. Lila learned how to anticipate attacks and coordinate defensive strategies. Mara built simple devices to detect drones and intruders. Tess learned to read the land for subtle signs of movement, using her intuition to predict where threats might come from. One afternoon, while scanning the horizon with his binoculars, Cole spotted movement near the outer ridge. 3 figures, dressed in dark, reinforced suits, were approaching the ranch. They carried equipment and small weapons, but they moved cautiously, aware that the ranch was not unprotected. Cole called the sisters together. "They're here. Be ready, but stay calm. We fight smart, not fast." The confrontation began quietly. Mara activated a set of automated tripwires she had set around the perimeter. Lila guided the cattle to move strategically, creating barriers and distractions. Tess positioned herself with a makeshift observation post, watching for signals. Cole faced the attackers directly, his laser pistol ready, his instincts sharp. The raiders advanced, trying to probe the ranch's defenses. But every step they took was anticipated, countered by the sisters' quick thinking and Cole's expertise. One drone malfunctioned when Mara hacked its controls remotely, causing confusion among the intruders. The cattle stampeded at the right moment, creating a natural barricade, and Tessa's signals helped Cole target the most dangerous threats first. In the chaos, the sisters and Cole worked as a single unit. Trust between them had grown through days of labor, shared meals, and quiet conversations under the moons. Each sister knew her role, and Cole guided them without hesitation. The raiders, realizing they were outmatched by both skill and intelligence, retreated, leaving the ranch unharmed. When the dust settled, the sisters gathered around Cole, their faces a mixture of relief and determination. Lila spoke first. "We knew coming here meant danger, but I didn't realize how close it would be. You kept us safe." Cole shook his head. "We kept each other safe. This isn't just my fight. We fight together." Tess stepped forward, placing a hand on Cole's arm. "I trust you. And I trust that we can survive whatever comes next. Together. Mara, always practical, added, and next time, we'll be ready. We'll make sure no one surprises us again. That night, as they sat around a small fire under the twin moons, Cole reflected on everything that had happened. The sisters had brought life and energy to his ranch, but they had also brought danger and responsibility. He realized that life on this frontier planet was no longer just about surviving the land. It was about surviving each other's enemies and growing stronger together. He thought about Lila, Mara, and Tess, not just as women in his life, but as companions, allies, and perhaps something more. Each had shown courage, intelligence, and loyalty in ways he had never imagined. The bond between them was growing stronger with every challenge, every shared moment, and every quiet night under the stars. Cole knew that the journey ahead would be even harder. The syndicate that pursued the sisters would not give up easily, and the frontier held dangers that no human could fully predict. Yet, for the first time, he felt that he was not alone. Not truly. With the sisters by his side, he could face anything the planet or the universe threw at them. The fire crackled, casting flickering light across their faces. Cole watched as Lila adjusted her blanket, Mara cleaned her tools, and Tess looked up at the stars with wonder. They were tired, but they were alive. They were united, stronger than any threat that had come their way, and for Cole, that was more than enough. The night air was cool, carrying the faint scent of distant alien flowers and the earthy aroma of the ranch. Cole allowed himself a rare moment of peace, knowing that tomorrow would bring new challenges, new training, and perhaps new surprises. But for now, he was content. Together, they had survived. Together, they had proven that unity and trust could overcome fear, and as the twin moons shone brightly over the rugged landscape, Cole made a silent promise. He would protect these sisters no matter what came. He would teach them, guide them, and fight alongside them. And perhaps, in the midst of danger and uncertainty, he would finally allow himself to feel the connection that had quietly grown in his heart. The frontier was harsh, unyielding, and sometimes cruel. But Cole, Lila, Mara, and Tess had learned something vital. Together, they were unstoppable. And in that knowledge, they found courage, hope, and a sense of belonging that the vast wilderness could never take away. The twin suns rose slowly over the frontier ranch, casting long shadows across the plains. Cole Trask surveyed his land from the porch, his gaze sharp. The previous days had been tense, with warnings and small skirmishes from the syndicate that pursued the sisters. Now, he knew the danger was near and unavoidable. "Cole," Lila's voice called softly from the yard. She was already outside inspecting the cattle pens and checking the fences. "I finished reinforcing the pens. Mara is ready with the drones, and Tess has set up the traps near the ridge." Cole nodded. The sisters had grown remarkably. Their fear had been replaced with confidence, their caution with skill. Each day on the ranch had been a lesson, and now they were ready. But he also knew that their greatest test was yet to come. "They're coming," Cole said quietly, though the words were more a reminder than news. "We hold the ranch together. We survive together." Lila, Mara, and Tess nodded, their faces determined. They were no longer just guests or helpers. They were a team. And in the quiet before the storm, Cole felt a deep sense of connection, a bond forged by trust, work, and the dangers they had already faced. By mid-morning, movement appeared on the ridge. A small fleet of hovercraft combined with armed personnel and drones approached the ranch. Varric, the rival and agent of the syndicate, had come in force seeking to claim what he thought was his. Cole's jaw tightened. He had faced raiders before, but this was organized, deliberate, and relentless. "Positions," he ordered. Lila guided the cattle to strategic spots, creating barriers and cover. Mara activated her drones, sending signals to confuse the enemy's sensors. Tess used her knowledge of the terrain to set traps that would slow down intruders. Cole himself took the front line, pistols at the ready, his eyes scanning every movement. The first wave of attackers advanced cautiously, but Cole and the sisters were prepared. Mara's drones disabled a few hovercraft, sending them spiraling into the rocky terrain. Lila's cattle created chaos among the raiders, trampling the ground and forming moving walls. Tess signaled Cole when traps were triggered, ensuring that every move was anticipated. Varric's forces hesitated, realizing they were facing more than just a simple rancher and 3 women. They had underestimated the sisters' skills and the strategic mind of Cole. Yet they pressed on, determined to seize what they had come for. The battle was tense but controlled. Cole and the sisters fought with precision, each of them anticipating the other's moves. Leela directed the defense like a seasoned commander. Mara hacked drones and disabled weapons, and Tess used the terrain to funnel attackers into narrow paths where they could be contained. Cole moved among them, covering their backs, taking down threats, and ensuring the sisters remained safe. Despite the chaos, the sisters' unity was unbreakable. When one faltered or hesitated, another was there to compensate. Their trust in each other and in Cole had grown into something powerful, something that could not be overcome by force alone. After several tense hours, Varric realized his attack was failing. His forces were scattered, some trapped by Mara's devices, others diverted by Lila's strategic cattle maneuvers. He gave a final order to retreat, his pride and ambition thwarted by the unexpected resilience of Cole and the sisters. The ranch lay quiet again, dust rising in small clouds from the disrupted terrain. Cole lowered his pistols, feeling a wave of relief. He walked among the sisters, checking that they were unharmed. Lila brushed a strand of hair from her face, smiling despite the exhaustion. Mara cleaned her tools, her hands steady, while Tess adjusted a few traps, ensuring everything remained secure. "You all did well," Cole said finally, his voice low but firm. "We survived because we trusted each other and worked together. Remember that." "We trusted you, Cole, and you trusted us. That's what made the difference." Cole looked at them, really looked, and felt something he hadn't allowed himself to feel before. The connection, the loyalty, the strength. They were more than companions. They were part of his life in a way that words could barely capture. As the sun set once more, painting the horizon in fiery colors, Cole realized that the ranch was no longer just his domain. It belonged to them all, shaped by their work, their courage, and their bond. They had survived attacks, faced dangers, and emerged stronger. But Cole also knew that the true challenge was not just survival. It was deciding the path of his heart. That evening, under the glow of the twin moons, Cole called the sisters together. The fire crackled between them, casting soft light across their faces. He took a deep breath. "There's something I need to say. All of you, you've changed my life. You've brought strength, laughter, and hope to a place I thought was only for solitude. And I can't imagine life without any of you." Lila's eyes widened slightly. "Cole," she began, but he held up a hand, gently encouraging her to listen. "I know this is unusual, and it's not easy to understand, but I've realized something. You're part of my life in a way I never expected. I don't want to lose any of you. I want us to be together. All of us." The sisters were silent for a moment, absorbing his words. Then Lila stepped forward, her hand brushing Cole's arm.
"We want that too. We faced danger, learned to survive, and grown together."
We trust you, Cole.
"We trust each other. And if this is the life you choose for us, we will follow." Mara, always pragmatic, nodded. "It's not simple, but nothing worth having ever is. We are strong. Together we can face anything. I accept your choice." Tess, the youngest, smiled softly, her eyes shining. "I trust you, Cole. And I trust all of us. I want to be with you, too." Cole felt a warmth in his chest, a mixture of relief, joy, and hope. The decision was made, not out of obligation, not out of fear, but out of trust, respect, and genuine connection. They were united not just by circumstance, but by choice. Over the following days, the ranch settled into a new rhythm. They rebuilt fences, repaired damaged equipment, and strengthened defenses against any future threats. Life was still challenging, but the sense of unity made every task easier. The sisters' skills complemented Cole's, creating a harmony that was both practical and emotional. As the weeks passed, the frontier ranch became more than a place of survival. It was a home, a sanctuary, and a symbol of what could be achieved through trust, courage, and partnership. Cole, Leela, Mara, and Tess found moments of peace. Quiet evenings by the fire, shared meals under alien skies, and conversations that carried them far beyond the dangers of the planet. One evening, as they watched the twin suns dip below the horizon, Cole reflected on the journey that had brought them together. The sisters had arrived unexpectedly, bringing with them both challenge and joy. They had faced threats, adapted to life on a harsh frontier, and grown inseparable. And through it all, Cole had discovered something profound. Love, in its many forms, could be as vast and unpredictable as the universe itself. Leela leaned against him, Mara adjusted a small gadget beside the fire, and Tess picked up a small plant to examine it. Together they formed a circle of strength, comfort, and connection. Cole knew that whatever the future held, raiders, storms, or syndicates, they would face it as one. The frontier planet was wild, unpredictable, and sometimes cruel, but it had given Cole and the sisters a chance to redefine what family and love could mean. Under the twin moons with stars scattered across the alien sky, they sat together in quiet triumph. They had survived, they had chosen each other, and they were ready for the adventures yet to come. Cole looked at each of them, seeing courage, trust, and hope in their eyes. He smiled softly. The ranch, the plains, the twin suns, they were all witnesses to a new chapter, one written not just by survival, but by the bonds of love and unity. And as the night stretched over the frontier, Cole knew that the journey was far from over. But for the first time in his life, he felt complete. Together, they were unstoppable, and together, they would face whatever the universe had in store. The ranch was quiet now, peaceful, and full of promise. And under the alien stars, a cowboy and 3 sisters began a new life, bound not by fate alone, but by choice, courage, and love that spanned the wild, uncharted frontier.